Hey, I want to share some ideas about longevity and my thoughts about that, and what has enabled me at the age of 54 to be able to maintain a high degree of energy output, to be able to do what I love with consistency, to maintain my health and vitality, not have any injuries, and be able to, move like a much younger man. And so I do think that at my age I've developed the experience and credibility to speak on this subject. I also have seen guys in their 30s talk about longevity, and I shake my head at that, because if you're 38 years old or 39 years old, you really you don't have skin in the game to be able to discuss longevity, because your body is really still in its peak, and you don't even really start to deteriorate for most people until they're in their 40s, or even mid 40s. So something that often isn't considered in the longevity is this idea of skill development. And that's really the topic I want to discuss right now. We know that nutrition plays a significant role. We also know that rest and recovery plays a significant role. And we also know that minimizing e-stress, or minimizing external stressors, also plays a significant role in terms of reducing or slowing down the aging process. And so when we're looking at the exercise, the common recommendation is that we should have regular exercise, regular resistance training, as well as cardiovascular training. And I agree with that. However, oftentimes the idea of training also can be thought of as working out. And for many people, that's sort of like a thing that you have to do, right? And there can be a bit of a feeling like punishment, like, man, I have to work out because I'm supposed to work out. I don't necessarily want to work out, but I have to get it in, right? So I can check that box. So for myself, I don't really think about working out. I have two basic paradigms that I operate, and one is movement. So movement, I make a commitment that I'm going to do movement every day, some kind of movement. The other reference is training, and training is specific practice towards the development of a specific skill or attribute. And so for me, the training is the jiu-jitsu, and the movement can be a lot of different things. It can be breath work like qigong, flexibility. It can be going for a jog. It could be stretching. It could be lifting kettlebells. Okay, so it's just physical activity. And so the idea of skill development is really what I want to leave you with in this discussion, and what I consider one of the greatest contributors to my success in maintaining my longevity up to this point. I love jiu-jitsu, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. It's something I share with my son, and teaches me many things, brings me a lot of fulfillment, and helps me with my life. And it also leaves me more capable to defend myself and my loved ones in the face of danger. And so, not just physically, like being able to fight more effectively, but also in psychological challenges that we face in life. And so the idea about pressure makes diamonds, and we get more comfortable with being in uncomfortable situations, and therefore gives us a greater aptitude to be able to navigate different kinds of challenges and unexpected things that occur. So jiu-jitsu is all of those things for me. And so there's this concept the Japanese call it Kaizen, which is normally translated as something like, you know, just get 1% better every day, right? Make a commitment to improve 1% every day. And that sounds really cool. However, that doesn't make any sense, because if you're improving 1% every day, then that means you've improved 100% after 100 days, right? And so, like, then what? So I don't think about this idea of improving 1% every day. But what I do think about is some form of self-improvement every single day without having to quantify whether it's a lot of self-improvement or just a micro adjustment. You know, and jiu-jitsu for me is the thing that I can always go to every single day, that I know that when I step on those mats, I'm going to be a little bit further along than I was by the time, you know, when I step off, than I was when I stepped on. So, you know, that mat time, it's just accumulation, like putting money in the bank. And so the skill development, as opposed to working out, is the idea that you're focusing on the skill development of whatever activity that you're involved in, rather than putting the additional stress and the additional pressure upon yourself that isn't necessary, to say that, okay, I have to, you know, lift this heavier weight, or I have to run a further distance, or I have to quantify my progress with some metric by doing more. That's not really sustainable, and that's not going to be conducive to longevity, especially for individuals that are, you know, in their middle ages and above. You're not going to jump as high when you're 54 as you did when you were, you know, 24 and 34. You're not going to lift as heavy. You know, you're not going to have as much aerobic power in these types of things, because the body will, you know, naturally lose some of its spring through the bones. And so, on the other hand, your skill development is something that you can continuously improve upon. And so that's really the idea to think about, is that if you focus on your skill development, that is something that you're going to be able to continue to sustain day after day after day. And it is what allows me to train jiu-jitsu every day, or pretty much every day. You know, the school is closed on Sundays. I don't train jiu-jitsu on Sundays generally, but I'm usually always training minimum of 6 times per week, usually 7, and on a good week I'll train 8 or 9, you know, times. And, you know, each training session's an hour and a half, and we're doing drills, and we're doing also sparring. And I'm able to train with, you know, young people, stronger guys, bigger guys, and come back again and do it again tomorrow. And I've talked to many other jiu-jitsu players that are in a similar age group, and I hear very often, like, man, I wish I could train more often, but my body gets broken down, and if I train really hard on Monday, I need to take a day or 2 off to allow myself to recover. And so a lot of times folks in these middle ages are not able to train as much as they would like to, because their body does not feel recovered between training like you would when you're much younger. And, you know, so in that case, I like to be able to provide a very good example, in that I'm able to train every day, and I'm able to come back again and do it again tomorrow. And there's several reasons for that. First of all, I don't injure myself. However, I think the main factor is the idea of that I'm focusing on the skill development. And with that, you know, the intensity can go up and down. It doesn't always have to be full out. It's most likely not going to be full out. If you're tired, you may go really easy. You may go kind of light. And, you know, if you feel more energetic, maybe you're going to, you know, train longer, or you're going to you know, scramble more, put more intensity into it. So that's always going to be modified based on your energy and, you know, how you feel in that moment. If you make a commitment to skill development, then it's like, well, you need to do it every day, because that's how you develop a deep level of skill, and that's the kind of skill that is sustainable throughout the lifespan. And I'll leave you with just a story that's really illustrative of this. Is Helio Gracie. Helio Gracie is considered the founder of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Saulo Ribeiro, in his book Jiu-Jitsu University, is probably the best, most important book ever written on jiu-jitsu. Saulo was my main sensei, and even though I don't train with him anymore because he moved back to Brazil a few years ago, I still consider him you know, one of my senseis, and he always will be, because of the tremendous impact that he's had on my life, and I'm so grateful to him. You know, but Saulo, in his book, he tells a story about when he trained with Helio Gracie, and at this time Saulo was up and coming. He was a young black belt. He was, you know, really killing it, and, you know, winning pretty much all the big, and he was really coming on the scene as a world champion and just killing everybody at that time. And, you know, he must have been in his 20s at that time. And, you know, Helio Gracie was probably in his 80s at that time. And so when he went to roll with Helio, Grandmaster Helio said, you can't beat me. And so he, you know, he trained with him, and he couldn't submit Helio Gracie. And, you know, Helio didn't say, I'm going to beat you, but he said, you can't beat me. And, you know, true to his word, his skill development was so deep that he was able to, you know, protect himself, and he was able to position himself and not allow Saulo, this, you know, young world champion athlete, to be able to submit him. So, you know, that's a really great illustration of what I'm speaking about. And that comes from the skill development. And Helio was like, you know, 130 pounds, a really small guy. So it really speaks to the, you know, efficacy of jiu-jitsu as a martial art as well. So I hope this gives you some good ideas to think about, you know, especially for those of you that are, you know, getting older. Well, all of us are getting older, but if you're at an age where you don't feel like you're in your physical prime anymore, but you want to still, you know, get to it, and still, you know, you have still physical goals that you're wanting to develop, think about the skill development as opposed to just working out or chasing some other metric. And, you know, put that money in the bank, and it's always going to pay dividends.